The sound of a slap in a busy airport is usually something you barely notice, just another drop in the ocean of noise. But when my sister's hand connected with my cheek in Terminal 4 at LAX, the entire world seemed to hold its breath for one long, horrible second. Before I go any further, if you've ever felt invisible in your own family, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to Anonymous Confessions. Trust me, this story is exactly why this community exists. My name is Rose, and for 28 years, I was the invisible backbone of my family, the reliable one, the one who never made waves, the one who fixed everything quietly so no one would notice anything was broken. And standing there with my cheek stinging and 200 strangers watching, I realized something that hit me harder than the slap itself. No one was coming to check on me. Not my mom, not my dad, and definitely not my sister Jessica, whose hand was still stinging from the impact. But here's the thing they didn't know. In about 5 minutes, I was going to do something that would leave every single one of those staring passengers completely speechless. And my family? They'd be stranded. Let me back up a little. Growing up in our Los Angeles house, the roles were set in stone before I was tall enough to reach the kitchen counter. Jessica was the firecracker, loud, emotional, dramatic in a way my parents called spirited. Me? I was the foundation. Quiet, dependable, the one who held everything together while everyone else got to fall apart beautifully. I work in marketing analytics now. Spreadsheets, data, numbers that actually make sense, unlike people. It pays well enough that when the idea of a Hawaii trip came up at dinner 5 weeks ago, covering the whole thing didn't feel like a sacrifice. It felt like Tuesday. Jessica stood up with a champagne glass, where she got champagne for a Tuesday family dinner, I'll never know, and announced she was treating everyone to Hawaii. My mom actually gasped. My dad's face lit up like someone turned on a switch. He started bragging immediately, telling her how proud he was, how she'd finally gotten her life together. And Jessica? She looked right at me across the table and mouthed 2 words that should have been my first warning. Thank you. I laughed it off. That's what I do. I kept planning, paid for the flights, premium seats because Dad's back hurts on long flights, booked the hotel, 2 adjoining ocean view rooms because Jessica needs her space, reserved the rental car, the SUV Dad insisted on, arranged the excursions, all of it. And I told myself it didn't matter that no one knew. Family doesn't need credit, right? But how many times can you give without being seen before something inside you starts to crack? The morning of the trip, I was standing near Gate 76, coffee in hand, checking our boarding passes on my phone for the 100th time. I was actually hopeful. Maybe the ocean breeze would change things. Maybe a week away would soften the edges. Maybe we could finally just enjoy each other. I was wrong. So wrong that within minutes, my whole world would tilt sideways. Jessica had been tense all morning, snapping at me about small things. Why did I pack this? Why did I wear that? Why was I always so perfect, like it was an insult? I kept my mouth shut. That's what I do. But when I casually mentioned that we should probably head toward the gate soon, she snapped. You always do this. You always have to control everything. I barely opened my mouth to respond when her hand came out of nowhere. The slap landed so hard, my vision blurred for a second. The sound echoed off the terminal walls like a firecracker. And then, silence. Even the baggage carousel seemed to stop. 200 heads turned. Phones came up. People were already recording, and all I could feel was the heat spreading across my cheek and the absolute gut-wrenching humiliation of being seen. Then my parents arrived, running towards us, and I thought, finally someone is going to see what just happened. Finally, someone is going to protect me. But have you ever hoped for something so badly, only to watch the exact opposite happen right in front of you?
"What did you do to her, Rose?" My dad's voice was sharp, accusatory. He didn't even look at my face, didn't see the red mark forming, didn't ask if I was okay. Jessica, perfect Jessica, buried her face in Mom's shoulder. Her voice trembled on cue. "She's been ruining the trip all week. I can't take it anymore." The lie slid out so smoothly it could have been rehearsed. Maybe it was. Mom stroked her hair and glared at me over Jessica's shoulder. "Why can't you just let your sister enjoy herself?" There it was, the script we'd been performing since childhood. And standing there in Terminal 4, surrounded by strangers filming us, every single memory I'd buried came rushing back. The graduation party I paid for, $2,000 for cake and decorations, while Jessica gave a speech thanking Mom and Dad. The apartment I co-signed so she could look independent on Instagram, the $5,000 I lent her for an engagement ring that she kept after the wedding fell apart, never paid back, never mentioned again. Every birthday gift I bought from both of us because Jessica was too busy or too broke. Every time I stayed quiet. You know, if any of this feels familiar, if you've ever been the one holding everything together while someone else gets all the credit, take a second right now to comment "I see you" or share your own story below. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Anonymous Confessions. We need to hear each other. My dad stepped between us, like a referee. "Apologize," he said. "Do it properly." I swallowed. I always swallowed. "I didn't do anything," I whispered. "Rose," his voice dropped to that disappointed tone. "You made your sister cry. Fix it." I looked at Jessica, mascara somehow perfect, tears exactly placed, and something inside me went cold. Not angry, not sad, just done. 28 years of being the responsible one. 28 years of paying, fixing, covering for things I never did. And in that moment, standing alone in a crowd of strangers, I understood something with absolute clarity. If I kept playing this role, I would completely disappear. "I need a minute," I murmured. Dad waved me off. "Fine, don't wander far. Boarding soon." Jessica sniffed into Mom's shoulder. "Just keep her away from me." Keep me away, like I was the problem, like I was dangerous. I walked toward the restrooms, not fast, not dramatic, just slow, like someone trying not to shatter before they reached somewhere private. My hands were shaking. I pressed one to my cheek. It burned, not from the slap anymore, from humiliation, from years of it. I found a quiet corner near the vending machines, leaned against the cold tile wall, closed my eyes, and for the first time in my life, instead of pushing the feelings down, I let them rise. Every memory, every moment I'd swallowed, every time I'd been invisible. And then I asked myself the question I'd been avoiding for 28 years. What if I stopped being invisible? What if I finally let them see me by disappearing completely? My eyes opened. The trembling stopped. I pulled out my phone, opened my email. The confirmations were all there. Flights, my name, my card. Hotel, my name, my card. Rental car, my name, my card. All of it, all mine, every single dollar. And an idea came to me. Not revenge, not anger, just a boundary. A line I should have drawn years ago. I opened the airline app, found our reservation, 4 seats, 4 names, 1 pair. My heart was pounding, but it wasn't panic anymore. It was control. I stepped further into the corner and called the airline. A calm voice answered, "How can I help you today?" "I need to make a change to a reservation." While I waited for the agent to pull it up, I glanced toward the gate. My family was sitting together, laughing now. Jessica scrolling her phone, Mom digging through her purse, Dad reading the news, relaxed, at peace. Like 10 minutes ago, they hadn't watched their daughter get hit and blamed her for it. "I'm heading to my gate now," I said. Mom looked up, confused. What? This is your gate. Not anymore. Jessica narrowed her eyes. What are you talking about, Rose? Stop being dramatic. I lifted my phone, turned the screen toward them. I canceled your tickets. All 3. Dad stood up. You what? Jessica snatched my phone from my hand, reading the cancellation confirmation like it was another language. No, this isn't. Why would you do this? I said quietly, I booked this trip. Every part of it. Mom's voice trembled. Rose, please, this isn't funny. It's not a joke. Check with the airline if you don't believe me. Dad didn't hesitate. He pulled out his phone, dialed, repeated the confirmation code. Jessica hovered next to him, shaking her head, muttering, she's lying, she's lying. But when the agent on speaker confirmed only
one remaining passenger, me. Jessica's face went pale. Dad lowered the phone slowly. How could you do this? How could you? I met his eyes. How many times have you watched her lie and watched me take the blame? How many times have you praised her for things I paid for? How many times have you asked me to stay quiet to keep the peace? Mom stepped closer. We didn't mean. Yes, you did. You believed her without question. You didn't even look at my face after she hit me. You just took her side, like always. Jessica's voice cracked. Rose, please, I didn't mean. You meant every part of it, and I meant this. I showed them the hotel refund, the rental modification, every piece of their trip dissolving, one confirmation at a time. Dad's face went red. You think this makes you the hero? No, it makes me free. Mom touched my arm, tears gathering. We can fix this. Please don't leave us here. We don't have the money for new tickets. I met her eyes. I know. That's why I paid in the first place. Jessica grabbed my wrist. I'm sorry, Rose. I shouldn't have slapped you. I was stressed. I wasn't thinking. I gently pulled my arm back. You're 26, Jessica. When do you start thinking? No cruelty in my voice, just truth. Truth she'd been avoiding her whole life. The boarding announcement chimed overhead. Now boarding Group A for Honolulu. My group. Dad stepped in front of me. If you walk through that gate, don't expect to come back. I looked at him, really looked, and for the first time, I didn't shrink, didn't flinch, didn't fold. I'm not the one who left, I said softly. You did a long time ago. I stepped around him. No one stopped me. The gate agent scanned my ticket, gave me a sympathetic look, and quietly said, Rough day? I smiled faintly. Getting better. Walking down that jet bridge, I felt lighter with each step. And honestly, that's why I share this here on Anonymous Confessions, because sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away from the people who taught you to stay. If this story touched something in you, please hit that like button, subscribe so you never miss another story, and leave a comment telling me where you're watching from. I read every single one. The plane pushed back. I glanced out the window one last time. Through the terminal glass, I saw my family, Jessica pacing, Mom crying, Dad arguing with a gate agent. They looked lost, like actors who suddenly forgot their lines when the script changed. Hawaii was different. The ocean was deep and endless. I spent days snorkeling, hiking, eating alone without apology. My phone buzzed constantly. Calls, texts, voicemails. I silenced all of it. On the flight home, I finally opened a letter my parents mailed. They admitted everything. The favoritism, the blind spots, the years of taking me for granted. They apologized. I folded the letter gently and placed it in a drawer, not ready to respond yet, but for once the choice was entirely mine. I've learned that peace doesn't come from keeping quiet. It comes from finally choosing yourself. My family may or may not change, but
but I'm no longer carrying the weight of their choices. Setting a boundary wasn't cruel, it was survival. And that's the end of my story. How about yours?